Hello, welcome back to the Mouths and Modes podcast. We are a podcast for moms chasing goals through all seasons of life. My name is Shanna. I'm one of your co-hosts. Olivia is currently doing drop-off with her preschooler, so she'll be popping on here in a few minutes. So I'll introduce her. Olivia is our other co-host, and then we have our guest today.
Hi, I'm Sydney.
We're so excited to have Sydney on. She has a really cool bio intro that I can't wait to read off about her. But she's actually part of our Mother Runner series that kind of dives into just like moms that have more higher need children. We've had a lot of questions on from our audience, like how moms with higher need children are able to train. And I'm really excited to hop into your episode because I think it's just going to help inspire other people and to see how you do it and just give them some encouragement. But yeah, we are a podcast bringing you training tips, mom and expert interviews, and the kind of best friend banter that makes you feel like you're on a run with us. Whether it's your first 5K, your next marathon, or a stroller tempo, we've got your miles and your sanity. Since we're building a new platform, we'd really appreciate it if you can rate, subscribe, and share our podcast with another fellow mama. We really appreciate it, you guys. We've had so many reviews come in. We've had a lot of ratings come in, and you guys just sharing our podcast like crazy. So we really appreciate that. It's been kind of a curve having to build a new platform from scratch, but we're excited. We have some fun episodes coming your way. So please keep sharing. And if you guys have a Mother Runner shout out, please. If it's yourself, if it's a friend, we want to shout you guys out because I think we don't realize as moms how much we do on a daily basis. And it could be something as little as I tackled dishes and my kids were on time at school. Like that is enough of a Mother Runner shout out for us to want to cheer you on and brag you up. So please submit one. But yeah, kind of rolling into. So how's your week going, Sydney? Like what has your week looked like? We're now what? We're into Wednesday. I'm like losing track. I'm like, what is today?
Yeah, I know. I'm honestly thankful for like homeschooling my kids because I think that's the only reason I know the days of the week.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this is like the last chaos week for me because between like my own training and then coaching a team, this is our nationals week. So
oh my gosh.
I've been like counting down. I mean, I love coaching and I love this season. And, fall training is so fun, but it's also kind of just really nice. And I'm like, oh, I made it like to the end. So more days, we're just hauling through. But
yeah. So is this nationals? Is this for a club, like a club base, or is this for high school?
college. It's a college team.
College.
So it's our championship race, our final meet.
Dang. And this is for cross country, right?
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I keep forgetting November is that time of the year where everybody's running their nationals or state meets. And
yeah,
I mean, it's nice for you because you'll have it kind of done before like you hit Thanksgiving and Christmas, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it kind of rolls into, the chaos just rolls into the holidays, which is all good things. But yeah, so I'm just plugging through each day this week, like just trying to wrap it all up.
That's so crazy. How long have you been coaching on the college level?
This is my third season with this team.
That's impressive. And you're homeschooling on top of that. That's so crazy.
Right. Yeah, no, it's working. It's going well.
I know. Well, I can't wait to jump into your bio because it's gonna talk a lot about what Cindy really does and how much she does on a daily basis and just how incredible her background is. But yeah, as far as over here, I mean, I'm kind of the same. Like the days feel like a blur right now. I feel like I'm like in survival mode because I'm like on the last couple weeks of marathon training and I cannot wait to be done. You talked about this being kind of the end. Are you training for anything right now?
Not right now. I'm totally in recovery mode from Chicago a couple weeks ago still. And this has honestly been probably like the longest recovery I've ever taken. And it just feels really nice.
Really nice,
yeah. Usually I'm trying to run a marathon, like finish my build with the end of my cross country season. And this was
smart.
This was the first time that I've done it in the middle of their season, which was just so hard. And like the scheduling was just it had to be so regimented. But so yeah, now post marathon, I'm like just relaxing. I'm going to try and do a half probably in December, like later in December.
That's awesome.
But I've been taking it easy for now.
That's cool. How did guys talking about your Chicago race, that wasn't too long ago. Were you able
Yeah.
to hit your goal? Did you go in with a goal? How did you feel about the race and the experience of it?
Yeah, it was I mean, Chicago, for those who have done it, obviously everybody knows, like, it is just electric. I mean, it's such a great course. I loved it. I do feel like I tuned out half of it and missed out on, like, the party because it was actually a really tough race for me. It just wasn't my best day.
Yeah.
And it's funny to reflect on because like, you can have a PR race, which I did, but I still finished thinking like, "Oh, that just wasn't great."
Yeah.
Um, like, I finished a race, last year, and it was also a PR, but it was just like, I felt so good at the finish, I was just, like, running around afterwards with my kids and my family, and I felt so excellent, and this one I crossed, and I was like, "Oh, man, that was not good."
Did your
Um,
family come out with
and
you, or is it just you?
no, it was just me, and thankfully my husband was able to come, which was super fun.
Oh, it's so cool.
Um, so yeah, it was kind of a treat for us to have, he was funny the whole time. He's like, "Why is this a vacation? Like we're getting time away, which we never do, and and we're at a race." He's like, "Can't we do something more like relaxing?" Um, but it was a treat for us to be able to go just us two together.
Yeah, that's always like a miracle that you guys are able to find that couples trips within having kids, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was he the spectator with like the bottles all over the course, or what did that look like on his
No,
side?
to be honest, I didn't see him that much on the course, and I had told him, like, I wasn't planning to because it's such an honor to be at those majors with some of those runners who are there. And I told him, I was like, when are you ever going to see these guys run again? Like
Yeah.
he got to see Connor Mans and he was just, I was like, don't even bother about me. Like, I'll be happy to see you out there, but just go take advantage of like this opportunity because usually he does have the kids with him. And so he's got, the stroller pushing in the
Yeah.
boobs. And I was like, you know what? Just go chase the elites. Like, go have fun. So I saw him 2 times on the course, which was so nice. But he wasn't like dropping things to me all over the course. So
Yeah. I swear when they have the kids, I'm always like, I'm so glad I'm the runner on the course and not the one
yes.
spectating.
Yeah.
'Cause their life looks so exhausting. Like,
I know. I know. Especially when like when they see mom and then you run away and they're like,
yeah.
the tantrum, like every time they see dad and he has to go back to work or whatever, it's like, the tantrum that results from that. And so that's like, "We'll see you guys." And then I'm
Yeah.
like, I know they're just breaking down right now, but
I
yeah.
know. Honestly, sometimes I feel like we have it backwards when we go to these races. I'm like, why are we trying to PR? We should be trying to run as slow as we can so we can enjoy that
Yeah.
alone time even longer.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, that's an idea.
I know. Everybody that like I had a race like that my last marathon last year where I PR'd on the course and I was pretty proud of that. But when you leave a course, sometimes you have an expectation on where you really want to be. And I think both like feelings are allowed to coincide. Like you're allowed to be happy, but also wishing that you had more, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I love that you kind of talked about that, and we should dive back into that later on in the episode because I think a lot of runners do have that mixed emotion where they're like, I should be feeling grateful that I PR'd, but I also feel like I had more in me throughout the
Mhm.
build to be able to put out a better time than what I walked away with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and roll into Sydney's bio. So she said she didn't grow up as an athlete. Her parents signed her up for every sport imaginable, but she was the kid tying her shoe in the middle of the soccer field and running from the ball. It wasn't until 7th grade that she found ballet and fell in love with it, dancing 6 days a week and dreaming of a career in it, though her parents discouraged that path. The summer before her senior year of high school, she ran into a friend at the start line of a 5K she'd only planned to walk. She convinced herself to try running it. She hated running, but liked the guy. So she did it. That day sparked something new. She joined the cross country team her senior year, signed up for a half marathon, and was soon training for her first full marathon in college. She's been running ever since. Over the past 15 years, her training has evolved through life seasons. She married right after college and ran the Boston Marathon 8 weeks pregnant with her first child. That's so crazy. 8 months after giving birth, she ran her first trail marathon. 2 years later, she and her husband welcomed their son, who was born with Down syndrome, and a diagnosis that changed their lives and taught them resilience in new ways. Now living in Virginia with 3 children, she coaches a college cross country team while homeschooling her son. Her husband works as a nurse, recruiter, and wedding DJ. So cool. And together they love hiking, camping, and spending times outdoors. With his support and a running coach, she's committed to the one constant she can control: her early morning alarm and running routine. After a decade of running the same marathon time, she's now finding joy in steady progress, pushing to improve, balancing family life, and showing her kids what it means to chase hard things and believe in what's possible. It's it's just so cool. Like, I love that you did not grow up as a runner. Like, you kind of like I saw my son in that part where you're like, I was the one that was tying my shoe on the soccer field. Like, that is literally my oldest boy. He'll just be sitting there just playing with his fingers, and I'm like, this kid is never gonna play a sport. Like, and I love to see like where you're at. Like, sometimes it just takes trial and error of like putting a kid in multiple different things till they finally find like that connection with something. And it looks like in the beginning of your childhood and throughout your 7th grade, 8th grade, and so on, yours was dance for a while, and it was
Mhm.
ballet.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that. Like, what was that like finding dance, and what was that lifestyle like? Because you were dancing 6 days a week. That's like a runner training 6 days a week. Like, that's a
Mhm.
lot of intensity at a young age. What was that dance life for you during that time?
Yeah, it was just really exciting because so it's kind of funny. My parents, tried so hard to like hone us in on what we enjoyed the most. And my sister, they put in dance, and then me, they put in like all the sports under the sun. And I was not athletic. Like I wasn't interested. And then eventually we learned, kind of on our own in our teenage years to flop it. And my sister got really involved in sports. And then I went to a school that like you had to either take singing, dance, or theater. And I was like,
Oh,
well, I'm
crazy.
not super theatrical and I can't sing. So I guess I'll just try dance. I have to. And I just loved it. They had a company at my school that I quickly joined after that. And then my who became my best friend, she was part of a much bigger company that I then joined I think by 8th grade, like a year later. And so that's how I ended up dancing pretty much 6 days a week, like every evening. And then on Saturdays we had lessons for like 6 hours or something. And I just loved it. Like it was totally what I was passionate about. It was what obviously now as a runner, like movement is just really important to me. I don't feel like I can succeed in school or in, motherhood, like whatever I'm doing without having some sort of movement. And so it was just really important to me to ground myself every day with dance.
Yeah. So, obviously you went from being on the soccer side and then the dance world on a pretty competitive level, it sounds like, where you were pretty invested in it. I
Mhm.
mean, to the point that you were thinking of it being your career. Was that ever hard when your parents kind of like discouraged that? Was that like a big shift for you? And did you feel like kind of like an identity crisis, like trying to fill that void of like, okay, if I'm not going to be a dancer and this is not going to be my whole life, like what is going to be my form of movement after that then?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It kind of quickly transformed into running. And so in terms of like what hobby I was going to invest in, I was so thankful to have that kind of quick shift. But yeah, in terms of them like discouraging me in pursuing college as a dancer, it was really hard at first. Like just that classic teenager feeling of like, oh, mom and dad will do what I want. But I mean, it's a really tough world, the dance world.
Yeah.
And so it's really intense. It's not always, it's beautiful and I love it, but it's not always like the healthiest pursuit. And so I kind of like I had an understanding. I was mature enough, I think, to be like, I see why you say that, especially because it's just not healthy for your body as you get older.
Yeah.
And so it's not something that really lasts long. And being a very independent woman at that age, I was just like, okay, I want something that I'm going to be able to like, you know, succeed on my own throughout my whole adulthood. And so I understood why it wasn't the best, pursuit for me, but it was hard at first.
Yeah. So diving into that 5K, which started because of a crush, which I love
Yeah.
that. It's like such a Hallmark series, like storyline, plotline. you run this 5K that you were totally anticipating on just walking. And then clearly you fell in love with the sport after this 5K because you ended up joining the cross country team, right? Your senior year.
Yeah.
Like what shifted? Like what in your mind was like after this 5K, you were like, this is it. I'm going full in, head, like toe, like I'm going all in.
Yeah, so it is kind of it's all a really funny story actually. Because so I showed up to this race and it was just a local, in-town race and there was this guy who I was dating or close to. I don't know if we were quite yet dating. But he saw me there. Actually, I think he was intentionally there. And I was just with a bunch of friends who, like, all of us were not runners. Like, we were like, oh, this supports, a fundraiser, a benefit that we want to do. And so we're just going to walk this. And so he convinced me to run it that day, like right then and there. And so I was like, fine, I'll run it. And it happened to be that my high school cross country coach was at the race. And so
Wow.
she saw me cross the finish line and was like, oh, you run? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the dance team. Like, I don't run. Um, and I think because at that time I was already kind of considering what I wanted to do for college and my parents were discouraging dance, my wheels started turning and I was like, oh, maybe I could do both of these. And so I kind of fudged the rules a little bit and convinced my dance teacher to allow me to do cross country as well. And, she was like,
Wow.
under the condition that you don't get hurt. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I somehow juggled doing both of them my senior year. But then, anyways, as the story goes on, that boyfriend is now my husband. And so it really just like changed
That's
the
so sweet.
trajectory of a lot of things for us that day. But yeah.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I was like, is this guy in the past or is he now your present? And you never
Yeah.
know. You never like want to bring up
Yeah.
old feelings, but that's
Yeah.
really cute. So cute. Clearly like kind of a divine moment for you in your life too, because it kind of sounds like it changed like the trajectory of everything for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely did not foresee it. Obviously we never do. But I was just like, the only reason I did it was because I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun to look back on.
Do you feel like with your ballet background, because you were so like committed to it, you had a very like strict training kind of like regime to it. Do you feel like that kind of set you like the same discipline that you learned of the foundation of your dance routine and your dance practice? Do you feel like that helped pay off to your running career right now?
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, I think growing up with dance was so beneficial on many levels. And I honestly tell so many other moms, I'm like, if you can get your kids, it's an expensive hobby, but if you can get your kids
Yeah.
in ballet, like I just think that it is such a gift to have that foundation. Um, because not only is it good discipline, really hard discipline actually, like you have to really be strict about it. And especially when you're in a company, like there's no faltering from that. Like you can't sway on your nutrition for even a day because like your teacher will notice.
Yeah.
uh, and so it's such strict discipline, and especially at a young age, not many kids have that. Um, hi. um, yeah, and we're just talking about dance. So, yeah, not many
Perfect.
kids I feel like have that discipline at a young age, and then also just like the muscle that it builds. Like actually I've
Yeah.
started to notice more injuries creeping on, which could be me getting older, first of all. But as a teenager transitioning from running or from dancing into running, it was just like I noticed that I was so strong and I didn't do any sort of like, not that most of us do as teenagers, but do strength training or anything. It was just like I could tackle any run and had so much power in my legs and my muscles.
Well, I can imagine with all, I mean, just knowing a little bit about Olivia's background with ballet too, which I'm so excited she popped on because I can't wait to hear you guys banter about your
Yeah.
ballet background. But I mean, one thing I do have to ask you, but I'm gonna hold on for a second. But, I do notice, like, with her, I hear about her training and the kind of, like, structure she had to have in your dance world, and then yours as well, 6 days a week, and you're dancing several hours on the weekend too, like, for practice, performance, and stuff. That is a lot of endurance, like,
Mhm.
you are
Yeah.
going a lot, like, and so it makes a lot of sense to me that, I mean, both of you from that ballet background have found yourself in the endurance scene of the sport, because that's
Mm.
probably where your heart, like, it kind of like gives you a little bit of like, oh, ballet, where I was dancing for hours, like now I'm running for hours. And I wonder if there's
Yeah,
like a little mirror there. Do you
that's a
notice
good
that?
point.
Like,
Yeah, I never
uh,
actually really thought about that, but that's a really good point.
yeah, I just know that like whenever I run with Olivia, it's like we are so opposite in the way we see endurance. Like I'm like, just get through half a mile. And she's like, just get through 4 miles. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's so true. I think it's because, like, with dance, like, the way that it works is you do a bunch and then you pause and you stop for a little bit and then you do a bunch. And so it's very anaerobic. And they talk about it a lot that you are doing anaerobic exercise. So therefore, you can be drawn out for a very long period of time versus like doing a lot of really, really, really hard stuff for a very short amount of time. So it's just like the idea of like that it's like not the highest effort. It's like when I talk about that half marathon, or because that's the shortest distance that I'm used to, but that like that's so much more uncomfortable to me than just taking it down a notch and just going for the full 26, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that's probably where it comes from. And because you are just like, you're on your feet the whole time. You're not
Mhm.
like, it would be very disrespectful to sit down in the middle of a dance
Yeah.
class, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I got like a blow dryer thrown at me once for taking a break when I wasn't supposed to.
Oh my gosh,
oh
yeah.
my
It
gosh.
is crazy, like, ballet is very old school, and I'm
Yeah.
so curious if it's still, like, as aggressively old school as it used to be, but, like, that's why I always laugh when I see that, like, Instagram reel trend when it's like, "You can't hurt me, I run 26.2 miles for fun." I was like, "You can't hurt me." Had I had crazy ballet teachers.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. It just redefines, and even as a coach now, like some of the things that, I tackle with my runners, um, and they say certain things, and I'm just like, okay, keep going. Like, just keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, it's true.
They're
Very,
just
like
like, you can hear me.
yeah, it's so true.
Do
That's
you
so
ever wish you could put your runners in like ballet boot camp?
awesome.
Oh
You're
God.
like, you just need one class a week just to see how grateful you are to be in the
Yeah.
endurance scene.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes, that sounds cruel, but yeah.
It would probably be amazing. I've honestly thought about this so much about what would be the most beneficial addition to my running, and it would probably be like a bar class of some sort. And I keep trying to go back to one, but it's because it uses all those small ligaments and tendons that we attempt to get to with additional mobility or like that PTs will prescribe you and stuff, where
Mhm,
like in a like group class setting it's obviously just a lot more fun. And
mhm,
yeah, but with dance like you're hitting all those small muscle groups, and so that's why there's so much strength that can come with it. And I feel
mhm,
like less tendon and ligament problems maybe with a dance background. So it would probably be so beneficial for runners to actually take part in like a bar class or that, I mean, even like Pilates and stuff like that, because you
yeah,
would be working all those small groups.
yeah, maybe that's the neglected cross training. Everybody talks about, like, cycling and swimming, but maybe I just need to do ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true.
Oh, man. You don't want to see me do that, guys.
I actually was like, I wonder if Shanna would go to like a yoga class or something. And then I was like, I don't think she'd enjoy that very much.
I have a neighbor that's like been trying to invite me to hot yoga, and I'm like, I'll maybe someday.
Someday. Yeah. Not
Maybe
pregnant. Right?
never in the future. Sydney, I'm curious because I watch Olivia run and I see the ballet form in her running. Do you run on your toes?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to be more aware of that. I definitely do like try to strike my toes, and especially if I notice my form lacking in a run, I will do like gallops, like
Yes.
intentionally run on my toes to like recorrect my form. Um, so yeah, I'm like roll through your foot. Like sometimes I remind myself. But
That's so funny.
I do feel
Yeah.
like you guys must have like crazy Achilles muscles or something because I just see the like do, and I'm
I
like, what is going on? How can you do that for 26.2 miles? Like, that looks so
that's so funny.
exhausting.
Okay, I was explaining this to my husband the other day because he was looking at our shoe rack and he was like, "Your shoes look fine. They really do." And so I pulled them out and I was like, "Look at the front of them though." And then
Yes.
I flipped them over and like the toe boxes of my shoes destroyed. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, pinky toe, like, but the heels of them brand new, like abs. And so I was like, this is why. So I started flipping them so that he can see they're truly worn out. Cause like
Yeah.
he was only seeing the back of them where it's like still pristine white, not like not a speck of dirt in
Like,
one of
you
them.
don't
And
need new shoes.
yeah, I was like, listen, this is. It's just because I run on my toes. Like I don't know if my heels ever really touch the ground. I
They
really don't know.
Oh,
they
wow. I think
don't.
mine do. That sounds actually painful, but yeah,
I
you must have
know.
calves. Like,
I know. I like I try to relate it to everything where it's like even, if my husband has like Achilles pain, I'm like, listen, in dance, this is how you plie. If you plie, you won't have it. You got to go like a nice deep plie. And he's like, I'm not going to be plieing out on the pickleball courts.
oh, that's great. I was doing mobility with my team the other day, and my husband is actually my assistant coach this year. And he was like, I think you are the only one who can do this. And there's a girl who's a dancer on the team where she grew up dancing as well. And he's like, you two are the only ones who can do this. Like, we all look ridiculous. We're not doing this.
That
Yeah,
is really, really funny.
I believe it. Or any like form of like A skips, B skips, all that skips. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, can you break that down one more time for the M10th time? Because there's too much steps to these B's and C skips. Like, just make it simple. And then you got your dancers over here like do. Like they're just so good at it.
That
That's
is
fun.
so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, I love that your husband is the assistant coach. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's been super fun. It's my third season coaching. This is his first season being my assistant, and it's a really cool dynamic. And I just think it's cool for the kids too to see like that structure of like family life and how we're both in it together. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
I love
So
that.
he was the one that convinced you to run the 5K.
Mhm.
And then that's obviously like how you guys met and eventually got married. So was he pretty committed into like the running scene as well? Like what did your guys' running dynamic look like from that point forward and then into marriage and having kids? Like is he chasing goals as well over this last 15 years that you've been kind of training as a runner? Or has he kind of like retired and then you're kind of the one that's like still going?
Yeah, he quickly transitioned out of running shortly after that, actually. So he ran through, I can't actually remember if he started in middle school or not until high school, but he was like the captain of his track team and cross country team in high school. Um, and he still to this day is like, if we go run a mile together, with me training 6 days a week and him running once a year, he could still crush me in a mile. I'm like,
Of
you
course.
still got it. But pretty much after his senior year of high school, he stopped running entirely and switched to different sports in college. Um, and he actually really does. He never liked running. He just he was good at it. And he knew that it gave him fitness for being better at soccer, which is mostly what he cared about, or volleyball. Um, and so that's why he did it. But then after that, he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. um, and so when I convinced him to be the assistant for the team, it's like, I know that he knows running and he also knows like coaching better than I do. Cause he was coached all through his younger years in running. And I only ran on a team my senior year of high school and then my senior year of college. So in terms of like actually coaching, he's just like the brains behind that. Whereas I'm like, I know what training is needed, but how to like present it and how to encourage people. He's just like so fun to have along. But yeah, his running career pretty much solely revolves around coaching the team right now. Like aside from that, he's not running on his own.
No, that's awesome. I love that you kind of have like that space for yourself to kind of thrive in the sport too, because he kind of has taken a little bit of a step back. So I'm
Mhm.
sure it probably makes it kind of a little bit easier to like juggle that dynamic of when you are goal chasing or you are in a season for an A goal. Um, no, that's really, really cool. I am curious, like, I think it's so interesting that, like, he introduced you to the sport and then he's the one that stepped back and now you're going, strong with it. You were training for the last 15 years. I think you were self-coached for a little bit, right? And then you eventually got a coach? Is that your kind of your story?
Yeah, pretty much so I just ran, like I said, my senior year of college. So the 3 years in college before that, I had run just on my own. Mostly because I was doing so many marathons that I didn't want to join the cross country team because I was like, it's just too short. Um, but then I did it my senior year and then went back to marathon training right after that and continued with that pretty much up until last year. So I guess what, 10 or so years, 10 to 12 years, I was by myself.
Oh, wow.
That's
That's a
crazy.
while. Um, so I mean, that's a lot of seasons to be like self-coach. It's a lot of seasons to be motivated for. What what do you think your driving force for motivation through all your seasons of marriage, motherhood, kids, all of that? What do you think is a driving force of motivation for you?
Yeah, we kind of, I guess, touched on this a little earlier. Like, even with me finding ballet when I was younger, was just that movement is just so important to me. Like, I grew up in a really active family of pretty intense Germans. Um, and we were the type that was like, if we went camping, we were like hauling our own wood and chopping it ourselves and hiking mountains to get it. And it was just like we were always outside moving. And so that was just like I need that to be able to focus. And even through college, it's like I couldn't focus on doing my schoolwork if I hadn't done some sort of movement that day. And so then just after that, going through motherhood and even like working full time when I first had my first two kids, I just needed that. Like it was my motivation, I think, was just knowing that like I just needed it.
Yeah,
um, yeah.
I love that. Like it was always your
Mhm.
constant through all
Yeah.
different seasons. Did you
Yeah.
say a family of intense Germans?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
really fun. I mean, I feel like intense and German is synonymous with each other,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
very
Same word.
appropriate. I grew up around a lot of Germans and yes,
Okay.
super
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you ran Boston 8 weeks if she already asked this, let me know. But you ran Boston Marathon 8 weeks pregnant. That's incredible. That's wild. What was it like physically? What was it like emotionally?
It was great. Yeah, I don't remember like any sort of physical pain from that race, I guess. Maybe I'm delusional and forgetting it. Um, but that was just such a fun race. Like I think I had low expectations, especially at that season of my training. I mean, the idea of like getting a Boston qualifier, I didn't quite even realize like how much of an honor that was or how much of a
Uh,
treat that was. Because I was so fresh with running at that point that it was just like, oh, I qualified for this big race. Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
go run this. I started getting more and more excited, I think, as the training went on. And then when we got pregnant and I asked the doctor, I was like, oh no, I have a race in 6 weeks. Can I do this? And they're like, well, at this point, you've already done so much training that like your body's used to it. And obviously, as training through pregnancies, it's like once, if you're starting from zero while pregnant, then that's a lot harder
it's hard.
um,
Yeah.
and more dangerous probably. But because I had already like built up to it to an extent, yeah, the race itself was just so amazing. Like it was so fun to be there. And I remember putting a sign on my back that said like I was aiming because I was just so
Oh, I
nice to be.
love it.
Um, and yeah, emotionally, I just vividly remember being at the start line for that race and like sounds weird, I guess, but like talking to my daughter and just being like, all right, girl, it's you and me. Like, here we go. This is the start of our life together. Like, let's go.
That's so
And, I
cute.
had no idea what to expect while pregnant, but I was just like, carry me through this. Like, help me out here. You're my buddy.
Oh.
Like, you're my pal now. um,
Oh my
so yeah, I think that's how
god.
I
That's
know.
sweet.
But yeah, it was fun.
What
That's amazing.
what did your training look like? Because I'm like so curious because I'm in that season right now. What did your training look like? Like since the moment you found out you were pregnant, how far along were you? And then were you kind of like at the very tail end of your marathon build at that point? Or like what did your peak weeks look like? Did you adjust? Was it hard because you're in first trimester? I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, I have to why does it feel like so long ago? It wasn't
I
that long, but,
know, I know.
um but, yeah, I remember we were doing a lot of traveling because we found out I was pregnant with her, like, shortly after our honeymoon. It was, like, a couple well, we had kind of, like, a 3-month honeymoon. We were very fortunate. We just, like, went gallivanting about the world, and I remember thinking I was pregnant. I was like, "I don't know if you can actually feel when you're pregnant," but I was, like, very early on, before we actually could have found out. Like, I thought that I was, but I was still training at that point, like, I knew I was, and then when we did find out, I wasn't quite at my peak weeks yet, particularly because we were traveling and then we were, like, settling down leading into those peak weeks, and so I know that I came back and still had to hit the ground pretty hard for a little
Mhm.
while. Um, but my pregnancy was thankfully that was my easiest one by far. I've had 2 boys since then, so I don't know if it's just a girl thing, but, like, I was so thankful to really not feel much in that pregnancy. Like, I was never sick, maybe just tired, but as long as I did my runs in the morning, then, I didn't feel like things shifted too much because I guess I would have peaked, probably, like, 5 weeks pregnant, so still really early along.
Yeah.
Not quite showing yet. Yeah, you're doing amazing, just, like,
No.
training through the days
I
where
mean,
you're on
even
training.
5 weeks though, like that 5 weeks and it's your first pregnancy too, so you have, like, nothing to compare it to be like, "Is it just
Yeah.
me? Is it the baby? Like, what's going"
Yeah.
whereas, like, this is my last, so it's, like, it's very simple to be like, "Oh, this is pregnancy fatigue," or, "Oh, this is pregnancy whatever." Like, I have something to
Yeah.
kinda blame it on versus, like, get in my head about it. So I
Yeah.
just, like, I'm in awe that, like, you did that on your first pregnancy and you're in your peak weeks of your marathon build where, like, the beginning of your first trimester, there is a lot happening. Like, that body
Yeah.
is just, like, working really, really hard to get things going and, like, situating the baby, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, you did that, and you did that on Boston, which isn't an easy course to go and run either. Like,
Yeah.
that's super impressive. Like, I'm curious, like, with your build up to get to Boston, how many marathons did you run? And, like, why the marathon distance? Like, what connected you? Because you mentioned that you didn't even want to run that 5K, right? And now all of a sudden you're in this marathon shift of a life, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what pulled the dots here? I need to know, like, what was there trauma? Was there like mental, like
No, not at all. I think it's just maybe, the endurance of ballet, like you said.
yeah.
Also, it just seemed like the hard thing to do, and I guess that German mentality, I was just like, "What is the hardest thing I can do?" And an ultra marathon never came to mind, so I was like, "Oh, there's a marathon, like 26 miles? Sure, like, that sounds hard." Um, and yeah, it's funny now, like, actually shifting my mindset because when people talk about a 5K now, I'm like, "Oh, that makes me wanna vomit." Like, I hate 5Ks. They're so hard. They're so scary. I get to the start line of a 5K now, and I keep saying, I'm like, "I would rather be running 26 miles right now." Like, I can't imagine running the next 3 miles. Um, and so I think it's just, like, it's funny shifting back now because my mindset just quickly went to, like, "Oh, okay, I ran 3 miles. How about a little longer?" 26 miles. Um, and yeah, so I had run probably like 5 marathons at that point, because that's all I had really done. Like, I hadn't done too many 5Ks. I had done 1 half. I still to this day actually haven't raced a half marathon. I've run a couple in, like, different settings with friends or something, but, I've never raced one because I just, like, went straight for the marathon and just kept doing 'em.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's kind of how I am too. Like I've raced a couple now, but I don't like it. Like when people
Yeah.
are like, I love half marathons, I'm like, racing them or running them because I love the distance itself. It's a nice distance, but like actually racing them is so uncomfortable because that lung burn that I'm just so unfamiliar with. But so I definitely understand what you're saying with like the marathon. When you did Boston, do you feel like that and you were pregnant, that not knowing that it was as big of a race as it was, do you feel like that maybe like the ignorance is bliss was like a helpful thing in that moment? Or did you eventually like did you get familiar with the course and you were like, "Oh, this is gonna be hard," or, like, how did you feel about it?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You were just breaking up, so I missed what you said at the end there.
Oh,
Um
uh, no, what was the last thing you heard me say?
You were saying, like, ignorance is bliss
Mhm.
with doing Boston, or did I eventually
Yeah.
And
Did
then
you eventually like learn about the course and that it's actually known to be a pretty tough course and stuff? Did you get nervous about it, or were you just like, I'll
yeah,
just
I think going into it, like I knew about Heartbreak Hill, which I
Mhm.
love hills. Actually, that was the hardest part of Chicago to me, was like my hips just locked up by mile 12. I was like, I don't think I've ever run somewhere so flat in my life.
Yeah.
Like the longest I've ever done flat is just when I do a track workout. But
Mhm.
aside from that, like we lived in Colorado, we lived in Hawaii, and then now we're in the Shenandoah Mountains in Virginia, and I'm like, my I can go for a 5 mile run and do like 1,000 feet of elevation gain. And
That's wild.
and and so getting to Chicago, it was so hard. But Boston, I mean, I got to Heartbreak Hill, and I think I remember my mindset, because that's what I had heard of. Like that's the one thing I
Right.
did know about going into Boston. And I finished it and I was like, that's it? Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, or what? At the
I
time
love
I
that.
wasn't, quite going as fast, but no, I did know, like with what little I knew about the running community and the running world, like I did know it was such an honor to be at Boston.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just looking back, like I didn't realize, hey, this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it would, especially now, like eventually become so hard to do and to get into.
Yeah.
And so I am thankful that I was able to do it early on. Maybe it was a little bit of ignorance is bliss. But that way I also too had more fun with it than I probably would if I went to do it today, where I would be like, I'd feel so much pressure doing it today.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I have to do this, this has to be a PR, or like give it my all, versus then I was like, wow, this is like such a treat to be here.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think what a great lesson though for listeners. Like one, just talking about like even you being like, that's it with the hill. I feel like with social media and a lot of people going and, documenting so much at Boston, that the course itself, people are get really scared about it, or or are still somewhat unprepared to run the significant amount of hills that are there. But if you're
yeah,
prepared for it, that the course itself shouldn't be scary. And what a great example of that, a world major can just be an enjoyable experience, that not every course has to be a PR.
Yeah.
And like I think that can take away from the magic of it, right? And like
Yeah.
it makes me so sad when, it's like you take all this money, all this time, and I mean, weeks and weeks and weeks of training and the flights, and to just end up disappointed. And especially because there's so much hype around it. And then you're like preparing for these hills. And then like the fact that, yours was, that's it. Like that's an amazing response to Heartbreak Hill. Cause it's like, some people are like, oh, Boston broke me. The hills broke me. And then some
Yeah.
people are like, the hills really aren't that bad. So
mhm,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think it's just a great lesson of like your training will shine on race day, but also it
Mhm.
does not have to be a PR. You can go out and enjoy these things exactly for
yeah,
what they are, you know?
yeah, yeah,
I love
definitely.
that.
Hmm.
Well, I love it because, like, long after that, right? Not long after that, you ran that trail marathon, is what you mentioned in your bio. And now you have a
Yeah.
baby at home, right? You have your first at home at this point. Like, what did that postpartum season look like? Were you training for this race like for fun? Was it like still pretty a strict training plan? Like, what was that adjustment like with this new baby at home now? And now you're a mom with a baby next to you, and you're training for a marathon.
Yeah, it's fun to look back on, because I feel like I honestly had so much more resilience then. Um, where like we just didn't really skip a beat. We were pretty young when we had our daughter, and so we just didn't skip a beat. Like we were pretty much the only ones amongst our friends who were having a baby at that time.
Yeah.
And so we were hanging out with all of our friends who were maybe not even married yet, didn't have any kids. And so it was just like she was just in a go 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 world with us, where like we did before the marathon, we had actually done a Ragnar trail race with her.
That's so
And that was so fun. Like she was just in the tent with us, and I would come back after my 3 a.m., run and nurse her. And she was like 4 months old, but she was along for all of it. And then doing the trail marathon, I did it with a couple of our good friends, my husband's friends. And yeah, so it was two guys, and then I did it with them. And my husband was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't, which for me, yeah, never again with the trail. It was hard to train for, especially in that season, because I was naive enough to think you could bring a jogging stroller trail running.
Oh,
Uh, So I was like, I remember taking my husband to go on this run with me. And I'm like, yeah, let's bring Rosemary along. Like, she'll be great. We've got this nice, fancy jogging stroller. She's just like bopping along.
That's
He's like, I don't think this is what it's for. And I'm like, yeah, sure it is.
oh my
Um, so yeah, looking back, I was like, I can't believe the things I did, or even just like going for a 22-mile run and pushing her in the stroller.
Wow.
And now I'm like, if I go for a stroller run, it's like max 4 miles. I'm like, that's all I need.
It's kind of like that ignorance is bliss again. Like that's exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it was with my first two. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go take her out, and I can't tell you how many strollers I trialed. I was like, this one's not good enough. I need like the wheels are wobbling when I'm trying to do a tempo with it, and
I need shocks on it so it bounces.
Yeah.
You hit a pothole and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. You okay in there? I just remember looking back and thinking, oh my gosh, like I would dread doing that right now. Like I look for
Yeah.
every way possible to avoid the stroller runs. But
Yeah.
like as a first time mom, I think that's like a part of us thinks like we do need to do everything with our kid. And almost like there's no separation between our time and their time. And
Yeah.
it's like ignorance is bliss. So you're like, oh, well, other moms do it, so I could go do it. But 22 miles, that is crazy.
That is next
I
level.
could never do it now. Just see if you do 20 miles on the treadmill. I'm like, no, I just can't do that. I just
That is like 40 miles.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, that it really is next level. I'm always just like, how do the kids stay entertained? Because I mean, my daughter, she was always pretty good in a stroller,
Yeah.
but I don't think 22 miles works. Like, it's insane. It's amazing. It's
My
incredible.
daughter she was so easy. She was great. Like, she didn't even crawl until later because she was the type of kid that was just like, if you put what she wanted in front of her, like give her some toys, and she's like, why would I move? Like, where would I go? So in the
love
stroller, she was always excellent. I think I phased out of stroller runs when I had my third, and he
Yeah.
just like would not have it, even a half-mile run, like screaming his head off.
Oh, really?
And so, it's just kid dependent, I guess, personalities.
It
Yeah.
is. It totally is kid dependent. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
just it's funny because we have like I think this idea of like, oh, and then the double stroller will come into play and you can have one that loves it and one that's like, no, I want to walk next to the stroller. I want to push the stroller. I do not want
Yeah.
to sit in the stroller, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're biting each other trying to get out.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's the only memories I have with the double stroller is my twins. I take them out a few times and they would like throw stuff at each other and then they throw it out of the stroller.
Yes.
And so I'm like,
Yeah.
catching the toys and I'm like,
Full body
never
workout.
again. Yeah, never again. That was supposed to be easy run and it turned into a tempo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I do want to dive into, so we had you on because there is something really, really cool about your story. And I think it's like the meat of who you are and what you've been able to accomplish. And that's the fact that you have a kid with Down syndrome, which by the way, like I love that so much. Like I grew up in a church congregation, not far from here. And there is like a family that had 2 kids with Down syndrome and they were both naturally born. And they were the sweetest kids. Like they brought the vibe in that congregation. Like I miss it so much. And to the point that me and my husband were like, we should adopt a Down syndrome like child because they bring so much light to this world because they are just so innocent in so many ways. I am curious. So like when you found out about that, like that he had that diagnosis, what was that like discovering that and like kind of what went through your thought process? And I mean, to today, like now that you're on the opposite side where he's here, he's been with you guys for a while, he's part of the family, and you can't even like fathom him not being there. What was that process like from finding out the first day that he had that? And I'm sure you probably had to navigate a lot of like opinions through that process, I'm sure, and like what it's like now.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, it was a full-on roller coaster. It was such a whirlwind. Just like we were young. I think I was 24, 25 when he was born. And so statistically, like it just hadn't even crossed my mind that it would be a possibility because it's just so uncommon for mothers at that age.
Yeah.
And so when he was born, it was a, birth diagnosis, and the room was very cold. Like, it was not a welcoming experience when they told us about his diagnosis. I just remember, like, the nurses, everybody just went silent, and then somebody came up to say, like, the words I vividly remember were, "We're sorry to tell you that your son has Down syndrome." And first of all, I didn't
Yeah.
even know his gender. Like, we hadn't found out gender to that point. So the first time I found out gender was when they said, "We're sorry to say your son." And so for us, it was just like the days that followed from that were so hard. And I remember like the first shower I took after he was born, and I just broke down in the shower, like literally fell to the ground. And I was like, everything I know, everything I've ever known is just over. Like, that is the end. Like, I'm going to have to quit my job. Nobody's ever going to babysit him. I will never do anything again. And those are just like the polarizing thoughts that I had that were so false. Um, and it didn't take me long to realize that they were false, but it's definitely been years and years of like really realizing that, first of all, I mean, he is just such a gift, like pure joy. This morning, my husband came out, after we woke up, and he gave me a hug, and our son just like looked over at the room and he goes, "Oh, mommy, daddy." Like, just like giving his mom and dad a hug. He's just like, oh, he's so happy. And he's just always like, he's the kid who, I was making dinner the other night, and he turned on music, and he grabs my husband's hand, and he grabbed my hand, and he was like, "Mommy, daddy, dance." And and I was like, "Buddy, I'm in the middle of, like, I just put meat on the stove. I have to, okay, sure." Like, and he just like, he's so joyful, but it was a really hard journey at first. And I hate to look back on it and say that we were in a period of mourning, but for a couple days we really were. And it took one friend who had a sister with Down syndrome, who we called up to tell her the news, and it took her being the first one to say, "Congratulations and welcome to the family." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, what did you just say?" Um, and it was just flooring. And yeah, we've learned a lot through this journey, but also just like overall learning inclusion. I didn't grow up knowing anybody with Down syndrome, like not one. And so just the fact that like God has gifted us with him is, I'm like, why? How? Why us? Like, he's such a gift.
Yeah. I really appreciate you being so open and vulnerable about those first emotions, because it's not that you're resenting the fact that he has his diagnosis. It's that any mom or any parent wants the best future for their children, right? You want the best case scenario for your kid. And so of course you're not going to want him to have this diagnosis, right? It's any other diagnosis. It's the same thing. Like, if you find out your kid
Mhm.
has type 1 diabetes, like, you don't want that for your kid.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you just being so open and vulnerable about that, because I know there are listeners who have children with higher needs that probably like this resonates to them, because that they probably felt that way too. But also too, like, I can only imagine how much of peace of mind that probably was, hearing that from that family member who was just like, "Congratulations," because I feel like, especially with Down syndrome, there is so much negative reaction and opinions and feedback and advice. I mean, even being someone that doesn't have a child, I hear it like often. And I think the first thing is like, "Okay, well, do you want to abort this kid?" And I think that's the first thing that a lot of moms hear. And I mean, I get it from both sides. And I'm sure there's probably so much emotion that you were sitting with in that moment. But the fact that you guys, you found the light at the end of the tunnel, you're continuing to work through it. You are a coach for a college. Like, what finally gave you the confidence and the courage? Like, was there ever like a point in your journey where you like, aha, like, I got this, like, I can do this? Or did it kind of just slowly come like like a slow burning fire over time? Like, what did that look like? Like, what made you realize like you can still continue to live your life, because you've chased marathons, like, you're
Mhm.
still training, you just ran Chicago, you got to go out and do that with your husband, so you got to get away, which is so special, and you're figuring it out. And I'm curious, like, was there a point in your journey since that day he was born to now where like a light went on in your head, like, it's okay, like, you can still live life?
Yeah. Yeah, actually there was definitely like a pinpoint moment that I can talk about, but um yeah, I stopped racing for a while after he was born, particularly because he was born at the start of 2020, and so everything shifted.
Yeah.
Like, races canceled, so it wasn't even an option. But I kept up with training on my own, not as long distance, but I did keep running just because, like, especially it was a really tough season when I was working full time and the world shut down. So childcare didn't exist. And so I was working full time now home with 2 kids. Um, and I started to, I wouldn't say I had postpartum depression, but for a while I just had like situational depression. And it was running that like I really picked back up on rather quickly. Because I was like, I just need to go outside. Like, we're not allowed to leave our houses. At least in Denver where we were, it was like, you had to, whatever they called it, shelter in place. Like, you had to stay within certain boundaries of your house. And so I just started running again because I was like, I need to just like go outside for a little while.
Yeah.
Um, so I did keep up with it, but then it wasn't until like I still kind of was in this mentality of like, okay, well, pursuing any sort of goal with running is probably out the window forever, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, and then it was actually last summer, I had a miscarriage, which was my first miscarriage I've had. And it was this eye opening experience for both my husband and myself, but I think more so me, where I just like, rather than, I mean, there was a period where it was really hard for me to accept just what had happened.
Yeah.
Um, but then I just realized I was like, I need to be more present for the kids that I do have. Like, I'm so thankful, how many women struggle with fertility at all, like maybe never even have one child. And it's like, I'm so thankful I have 3 and I have, my son with Down syndrome who is just such a light and such a gift. And so we're so blessed and thankful. And it's like, I need to be more present to them and not always just thinking about like, let's keep growing our family. Rather, not that that's all I was thinking about, but just like, to just be fully the best mom I could be for the kids that I do have. Um, and that's when I just realized I was not. I was like grumpy every day. I was drinking too much coffee. I was like letting my kids be my alarm clock in the morning and then really grouchy when they woke me up. Um, and so I was like, I actually remember the day I sent my husband a text and I said, that's it. Tomorrow I'm changing things. I'm waking up at 4:30 every day and going for a run. Like, it's official. And it really was, and that's when we hired a coach, um, and I was like, "I am gonna start showing up for my kids," and man, it has been so transformative, to just commit to that. Like, nothing necessarily changed in my kids' life, like, their day-to-day has pretty much been the same. It's not like things got easier at home necessarily. It was just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do this." Um, and yeah, so it was like a pinpoint time.
I love that. A lot from I feel like a lot of what you're saying has so much to do with just mindset and focusing on the positive and, you know, it's not so much taking the negative and squashing it away, but just even when you're talking about finding out about your son's diagnosis, I think it makes you want to go become a medical provider and re-deliver the news to you. Like it makes you want to jump out of your skin that someone even initially approached you with it with the I'm sorry, because only a positive thing in your life that the initial of it was this negative, "I'm sorry," it immediately being able to shift of like, "Okay, this is how we handle it." And I think then taking that later on and being like, "Okay, I am gonna handle my situation like this, like, I'm not feeling super happy, I'm not doing things that are positive for myself or for my kids," because if you're not good, then the kids are they'll notice eventually, and so making those mindset shifts of like, "Okay, I'm gonna wake up early. I'm going to take this time for myself, hiring a coach." I think it's so incredible that you are able to just take that and just flip the switch on it
Mhm,
without, it being like that you're suppressing something negative. It's really just bringing out the positive.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You homeschool?
I homeschool him. This is my first year just
Okay.
having him home. We tried him in a couple different environments and just didn't find the right setup for him.
Mhm.
But he does work best independently, and so we are trying something new this year where we're like, okay, if we put the other two in, my youngest is in just half day morning program, and then my
Mhm.
older daughter is in a full day school. But yeah, it's the first time where I have just him home for a couple hours in the morning, and I would say that I'm learning how to homeschool. It's everyday
Yeah.
learning for both of us.
Is it? Yeah. I bet.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
just yeah, every day is so funny. Like it's the same with running, right? Like you show up to a race, you don't know what you're gonna get. Your training could go great, but um yeah, like the other day was a funny story with him. I take him to PT, and he's been in PT once a week since he was 6 weeks old. And recently we shifted it to just twice a month because it wasn't going great. Like he just is really stubborn about going. And, no matter how hard we work on like the exercises at home, whenever he got to the clinic, he was just like, nope, I'm not doing it. And I was like, I promise we've been working on it. And so this week I like really tried something new. I'm not one to like give treat incentives, but I was like, I talked him through it. Like we had a pep talk in the morning and I was like, we're going to PT today. And like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go potty. And like, I had lined it all out for him. And then I was like, and then afterwards you can pick what we do. And he said he wanted a donut. And I was like, okay, we'll do a treat incentive today. Like we'll get a donut after. And it was funny because we went to the appointment. It was like the best appointment he's had in months, finally. And then at the end, it came to, he just had to put the balls away. And he does this thing where he just like throws himself flat on the ground. And he just didn't want to put the balls away. I'm like, you had such a good appointment. We're going to go get you your donut. And he just threw himself like face down on the ground, like refused. And anyways, I made a game of that. It's like learning what little things motivate him. And I was like, okay, let's make a game of this. And so anyways, he put the balls away. And then I was like, okay, we have to walk out to the car and then we'll get your donut. Threw himself on the ground, like refused. I was like, buddy, we're going to get like, this is the move. Like we're going.
This is the final
then-
stretch.
Yeah. But it's like, you can so relate. And this is where honestly, like sometimes homeschooling him is such a good analogy to running. And it really is like running's the prep. We all us moms, I feel like say that, where it's like running is the warm up to the day.
Yes.
And it really feels like that sometimes because it's like, yeah, sometimes you get to the 24th mile of a race and you're just like, your body's just like, nope, I'm flat on the ground. I'm done. Like, I can't.
That's so funny.
I mean, I have no kids with Down syndrome, and some of them act like that. So I'm like, you know what? At least he has a reason to act like that. I have kids that are 9 that act like that. So
They're all tell their emotions. Right?
they all come with their own sense of personality, and some of them are very like strong personalities, and it's gonna do beautiful things in their life. But you just learn how to reel it in while they're young.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did mention like how your son has been teaching you like perseverance and patience, more than the marathon distance itself, which is, I mean, it speaks for itself right there. Can you share like a moment or a time or like a memory that like you feel like that, like it brought that home to you, like that sort of resilience and patience and I don't know, commitment, because something went on, like you had that light bulb that went off. You're like, I'm reclaiming my life back. Like I'm not living this way. Not only for myself, but for my family. I want them to have the best version of me. And I know me looks best when I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, even if that means I'm sleep deprived. And I'm getting that recharge in before I start my day with them. Like was there a moment like with your son that kind of just like made it all come together where you're like, I don't know, like the light bulb. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of experiences with him where like patience has just been such a test. And, it is with all moms, patience is hard. Any parent. But I'd say with him, like just the little milestones, like you expect kids at a young age, my son who's younger than him, like jumping off curbs, jumping off the bed, climbing things that he shouldn't be able to, like, or like running up a hill and all these little things that like you just see 3-year-olds do and you expect, oh, that's what 3-year-olds can do. But then, it's just such a test of patience and perseverance and like to see when they can. And then you have to walk them through every little muscle group to build those and to build that strength to do it. And it's such a joy then like to witness it when it takes months and months and months. Or like one example I'd say in particular, a test of patience was, or is potty training, which, all moms know is just a battle. But like usually in your head, you think of it as being like a couple weeks battle, maybe couple months. I'd say we had him close to potty trained at 2 years old. And then we had about a 2.5-year-old regression, and now he's not potty trained and he's 6 years old almost. And so it's been a 4-year journey of potty training, which it's like, every day we don't know what we're going to get. Like, is today going to be a great day, or is today going to be like we're just not ready for this. We're not showing up today. Like, it's just a hard day. But yeah, so there's just so much patience, and those regressions are really, really hard. It's like if you train for months and months with running and then you get injured, it's kind of like that feeling. It's like you just got set back so far and you don't know how long that setback is going to take you back. And it just feels so out of your control. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's very relatable for a lot of people. Just having to be patient within whatever hand you're dealt. And can you talk a little bit about like the what sorry, trying to gather my thoughts. I have like 10,000 questions I want to ask you, but I want to ask them in a seamless way. Can you talk a little bit about like how faith and maybe mindset play a role when you're dealing with tougher season of your marathon training, or like for instance, this is like I would say a regression in potty training is a tougher season. So can you talk a little bit about like what faith and mindset is like for you with that?
Yeah, I think just having like a committed mindset, that like all of us are going to falter and all of us are going to waver in our commitments, and like it's when things get hard, it's hard to stay committed, obviously. But um my daughter asks me a lot, actually, when I say I have to run tomorrow. And I like try to rephrase the way I say that sometimes, because I'm like, I don't have to. But she asks me and she says, Mom, you don't have, like, why do you have to run? I'm like, well, because I committed myself to this and I'm not going to break my commitment. Because like I made a promise to myself, but that promise obviously like goes bigger. It's a promise to like showing up for our families, and it's a promise to like doing something that's beyond just like, oh, I want to do this. Um, and yeah, so I think just having that committed mindset, and it really started for me too when like I was trying to set my alarm clock earlier and to get up before my kids, and I decided I wanted to do that. And some days I was doing that to take time to like just sit and pray and be quiet in the morning. And then the kids come out and they wake up for some reason at 4:30. I'm like, why is today the day you choose to wake up at 4:30? Like, did you know I was awake? Um, and so that's when I was like, I'm just gonna get out the door and like make this my quiet prayer time. And so like I never listened to anything while running.
Mhm.
But then people always say, like, what do you think about? And sometimes I'm like, it's just my prayer time. Like it's my time to like set my mind for the day, because like I know that this is a commitment I've made to running, but the commitments of the day are still to come. And
Mhm.
so just like setting your mind up to tackle them. And a lot of times that like is me just out on a run saying like, I have no idea what today's going to bring. Like, we might go through 12 pairs of underwear today. We might like
Yes.
my husband yesterday was like, that's it. We need to order more underwear. We need to have 50 pairs of underwear on hand at all times.
Oh my
And it's just like, yeah, you just have to like mentally get yourself in that mindset.
Mhm. I love it. I think that's such a testament to how running has always been a constant in your life and how you've had to shape it into meeting the needs of your current season. And so if that is your prayer time, that's how you fit it in, or if it's making the list to order 50 pairs of underwear, it's like running is meeting you where you're at, which is very incredible to hear.
Yeah.
Um yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that so deeply, because I feel like the times where I wasn't training like this, like it really was like it was like an emotional roller coaster. Like my run was like a way to release all those emotions when I had 5 kids, 4 and under. And I was juggling the newborns
Yeah.
with twins and trying to breastfeed them, and my husband was gone all the time, and I was like, what am I doing?
Oh my
And
goodness, you're
I feel like
amazing.
that was, yeah, like that 4:30 in the morning when I would just hop on my treadmill and run for 3 miles really hard. It was like me decompressing and just like giving it
Yeah.
to God. Like, and I
Yeah.
think I love that like your faith has like kind of shifted into movement too. And I think a lot of times like movement is a form of meditation. It is a form of like like a spiritual like connection, whatever your faith looks like is all dependent on the person. But I think a lot of people resonate with that in and outside of like um religion that meets and religion that doesn't, because it's like a way to like connect to your inner self.
Mm-hmm.
And I resonate so hard with that because there's been so many times throughout my motherhood, especially postpartum, when you're going through the shift of another child, trying to like figure out how they fit into your family dynamic. And it takes a little bit of time to find that system. And, you know, the emotions are high, you know, and especially with the Down syndrome kid, you're trying to figure out that new routine with him and meeting him where he's at and meeting yourself where you're at. And I'm so glad that you had that outlet for yourself to be able to navigate some pretty heavy feelings. And I'm sure it's like why you're here today, what you're doing, and the type of person you are today is because of that running. Like because you
Mm-hmm.
set that alarm at 4:30, because you made that a priority, because you kept showing up for yourself and kept that commitment. I am curious. So you did mention like your husband and yourself, you guys carry like a lot of different hats. I mean, your husband, he's a nurse, he's a recruiter, he's a DJ coach, you're a mom, you're homeschooling, you have a kid with higher needs. And you're also coaching and you're marathon training. You were in marathon training. You just finished your Chicago build. You ran that. How how are you fitting your training in? Like, I think so many moms that will listen to this will ask the same thing. They're like, "Well, but how does she do it?" Do you feel like your husband gives you a lot of support? Do you guys have a lot of family nearby? Do you bring in babysitters? Like, how do you make it happen?
We don't have family nearby. Actually, this is the closest we've ever been to family is being 2 hours away. But like we lived in Hawaii for a little while. We were literally in the middle of an island. Like we didn't know
Yeah.
a single person on that island. Um, and so we've been alone through a lot of it. We do have family closer by now to help. Like when we went to Chicago, you know, we were able to drop them off with family. Um, I don't know. I don't know how we balance it. It's like time there's time for what you want there to be time for. And I really live by that. And I just like, if it's a priority to you, you will make it happen. And to me, it's like this season especially was hard coaching and then running, training for Chicago because the marathon was in the middle of our coaching season, which was tough because we do 6:30 a.m. practices a couple days a week. And just give me a couple more minutes, buddy. Um, and there were days where I was like, okay, I have to get in an 18-mile run before our 6:30 a.m. practice. And I was like, okay, well, I guess the alarm's being set for 3:45. Like, here we go. And then, you know, I'd show up to practice like sweaty and having just run 18 miles. And I was like, hey, guys, like, ready for
Oh
running.
my goodness.
Um, but it's like, it was such an important thing to me. Like, I look back to a month ago and I'm like, how? What? How? Like, I don't know. If I set my alarm for 3:45 tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, absolutely not. Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But it's just because in my mind I was committed. You can. Like, it's just, it was a priority to me. And it's funny. I was actually talking to my husband about this last night. I was like, man, I'm ready for this season to be over, the fall to just like start to settle a little. He's like, honestly, it's kept us from fighting a lot. Like, we just don't have time for it. Like, honestly, our whole family is just grounded because it's like not that
You're
we're super
tired.
scheduled, but we have to just like, yeah, we have to plan ahead together. We have to know what's going on. um,
That's
but
that's so funny. It's like the open line of
yeah,
communication.
yeah, yeah.
I love it. And you guys are when you coach together, you're actually spending time together, you know,
Yeah,
which is
actually,
actually
the other day, I feel like, especially because I was training myself, I didn't really run with the team very often. Um, and I try to run with the team. I know that's not typical for coaches, but it's just so like I feel like it's a better way for me to be there present to them and to help them through whatever they're going through, like during their runs. And so a lot of times I do try to run with them, but this season, because I was in training, I didn't so much. And the other day was the first practice a couple days ago where we both ran with the team together.
That's cool.
And afterwards I was like, wow, that was like a little date. Like that was fun.
Yeah. I love that. That's so great.
So
I know I was gonna ask if you guys run together, so that's so
Yeah.
neat.
yeah, not so often because usually, I mean, he is. I think you asked this, but he is a great support. Like especially my youngest guy here, he is our early riser, and so, um, like I've kind of claimed the hours of 4 to 7 a.m. And so no matter what time he wakes up, I'm like, can you take care of the
You're
kids during those
like,
hours?
Yeah.
I'll see
Which
you
is a
at
big
7.
sacrifice to my husband because he is a big sleeper. Like he loves to sleep.
Oh.
So he's making a sacrifice too. But
That's so
yeah,
great.
actually, speaking of the team, I am gonna have to run because we have practice in 15 minutes.
Oh.
Um, so I hate to close this out because I feel like I could just keep chatting with you guys for all day.
I know, Sydney, I feel like I have 1,000 more questions. I literally had combined like 12 questions in my head and I was like, you're on a
Oh.
recording. Say it a sentence, full sentence. So I was like, I have so many questions for you. I also still want to talk about dance with you, so you'll have to message me.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to chat more. I'll just come fly out for a run with you guys sometime.
I
Yeah.
know.
Do
We'd
it.
love it.
Well, is there anything you want to leave with our audience? Any piece of advice before we close?
Yeah, I guess just like, yeah, I'll just close out with like my mentality for running because we kind of touched on this, but to sum it all up, and it goes back to actually something my daughter asked me once. You know, she asked my husband, like, why does mommy love to run so much? And my husband's answer was because she loves to be in pain. And, you know, kind of joking, but like at the same time, I reflected on that and I reflect on it a lot where I'm like, to be honest, like that is part of it. Like, I think as women, as moms, you know, whatever you're going through in life, like everyone suffers to different levels in their life. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for our son with Down syndrome who was born incredibly healthy.
Mhm.
You know, so many people walk into immediate open heart surgery and a lot of different struggles. And thanks be to God, we didn't have that with him. And he's been really healthy, like with the exception of having just developmental delays, he's so healthy. And so, yeah, everyone suffers to a different level. And like, we can't always ask for that suffering. Well, we never ask for that suffering, but like, I think as a mom, like there's only so many times that you can feel dependent. Like there's so many people depending on you.
Yeah.
That running is really where I have found a place that like I can bring myself to the brink of suffering, like to the point where I'm like, I have nothing left to give. And that's really where it becomes like such a deep prayer for me. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
Lord, I need you to take over from here. Like I can't finish this by my own means. Um, and that's like just what powers me through not only running, but just motherhood is like, just bring yourself, welcome the challenge, you know, pursue the difficult. I tell this to my kids all the time. I'm like, pursue what is hard. And, you know, I try to bring that to my team as a coach too. It's just like, don't give up just because it got hard.
Yeah.
Like now that's when you're really growing. That's when you're really fighting is like, now's the time to push harder. So yeah, I guess.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to leave it.
Well, it was so fun chatting with you.
Yeah, it was so nice to meet you and chat with you, Sydney. I feel like we could chat forever.
Oh. Well, thank
Well,
you for
good.
this opportunity.
Yeah, and good luck with the rest of your season. Hopefully your team does really well at nationals.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Thanks so much.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank you everybody for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.